So, I just got to see Drive Away Dolls, which is directed by Ethan Coen, one half of the greatest directorial duo Hollywood has ever seen in the Coen brothers. Now, this is Ethan Coen's first film, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but I believe it's his first film that he has made by himself without his brother, Joel Coen, since they decided to split up and kind of go out on their own. Now, I know Joel a couple years ago made that Tragedy of Macbeth movie with Denzel Washington, which was pretty good. This is a very different movie, and the one thing I'll say before I really get into this review, something I really appreciate about the Coen brothers, is that they make varying types of films. They don't just stick to one genre, which I like, because a lot of the big directors in Hollywood, a lot of the really big ones, they really like to attach themselves to one sort of genre and just sort of make that film over and over and over. And sometimes that genre is their style of film, like a Wes Anderson type of thing. But a lot of the times they just, you know, if they're a horror person, they just make horror movies, and that's really it. And they don't really try to go into other realms, and sometimes they can't because they're limited due to studios. But the Coen brothers have always made some weird movies. You get movies like the Macbeth movie. You get movies like Drive Away Dolls, which is really this kind of raunchy comedy that is really out there. You get other comedies like The Big Lebowski. You get crime thrillers like Fargo and like No Country for Old Men. I mean, like, they have a varying degree of types of movies that they make, and apparently they're reuniting to make a slasher film, so yeah. Drive Away Dolls is the movie that we're here to talk about. I just saw it. The movie has an incredible cast that's mainly led by Margaret Qualley, but there's a bunch of other big actors that show up in this movie, some of which are just small cameos, but have been used in a lot of the marketing. But this movie does have an incredible cast that is just absolute dynamite. But also another big person in the movie, Colman Domingo, who's just been in everything lately. He's here, very limited as well, but what he is in, gotta love Colman Domingo, he's great. But the film is about these two girls, these two lesbians who are not together, but they are friends, and they kind of get swept up in this weird, I don't want to say like crime saga, but they get involved in this, you know, they have to move this car from one location to another location. There's stuff that's in the car that is being protected by very powerful and very dangerous people that want to get their hands on it. So you kind of have a typical style movie, a very Coen style movie when it comes to how this movie is structured in its plot. But it's essentially a road trip between these two girls where they have some stuff that some bad people want, and they're sort of on the run and just dodging death and other stuff. But at its core, this movie's really kind of a coming into yourself sort of movie, accepting who you are and finding love. At least that's kind of what I got out of it. And I thought the movie was pretty fun, but there are some interesting issues with this movie that are gonna pull down the score. Issues that I haven't really had reviewing movies on this channel before. It's a strange one. First off, performances. They are all phenomenal, specifically Margaret Qualley, who carries this film, and I am waiting for her to really get her breakthrough in Hollywood and start getting these leading roles over and over and over, because she is a ball of fire. She is awesome here. I also like Beanie Feldstein. She doesn't play one of the leads, but she does play kind of a reoccurring character throughout. I thought she was hilarious. She was also really good. The script in this movie is great. It's really tight. The dialogue, very Coen brother. You know, what you expect from the Coen brothers style of movie, that's the dialogue you're getting here. It's very tight, very precise, very strategic, and I really enjoyed a lot of it. It's really funny, and it's what carries a lot of these scenes that you wouldn't really on paper look at as being big, hilarious scenes, but when they're filmed and when these actors perform these specific lines of dialogue and this structuring of these scenes, it ends up working extremely well. The film also has a very unique edit, and I don't know if it's really something that I love, but it's a real, like, kind of trippy, sort of experimental filmmaking style of edit. The film just cuts to weird things at times. Its transitions are extremely different and unique, and I appreciate that stuff. I definitely like, and it's something I'll say a lot about this movie, this movie tries some stuff. It tries some shit that's definitely unique in filmmaking, and you could tell that this movie was made by a person who is extraordinarily confident in their filmmaking abilities, and they are just going to try some weird shit, and they believe it's gonna work. And you know what? A lot of it does work, and some of it didn't work for me personally, but I think most of it was nailed. Even in its storytelling, the film does take a lot of shots. This is a very kind of, I don't want to say graphic, but it's a movie that is very honest about the story that it's trying to tell. And fun story, because it was a hilarious theatrical experience I had. I went to go see this today at like 10 a.m., so it was like an early screening of the movie when I was hoping there was going to be nobody there, because that's how I like to go to the movies most days, is when it's empty and I could just see the movie by myself. Maybe I'm weird for that. But there was a crowd of old people that came into my theater. They were all there together. I don't know if they came on like a field trip from somewhere, but there was like 10 of them. And the movie starts, and the opening scene plays, and I don't want to spoil it, but the opening couple scenes of this movie are a little bit, you know, they're kind of graphic with some stuff that pertains to two women doing some things, right? And the audible gasp and disgust coming from these old people, hilarious. I I just thought it was incredible. They all stood up and they walked right out. I heard one of them say, "This is a disgrace." I mean, it's hilarious. It's comedy. It's comedy. It's hilarious to me. It's fucking amazing, the generational differences that we have in this country and in this world. But I stuck around, and I loved it. I thought it was all great. I think it's a fantastic movie. But what are my issues with this movie? Because I do have a couple. First off, this movie is exceptionally short. This movie feels like half of a Coen movie. And I'm not just saying that in a metaphorical way of saying, oh, it's only one Coen brother. If you had the other Coen brother involved, this would have been a full package Coen movie. No, maybe yes, but no. It feels like half a movie because it's only about an hour and 20 minutes long, and I wanted more, which is a strange thing to say as a negative about a movie. Usually, 99% of my reviews, I'm like, this movie was too long. You could have cut an hour off this thing. It was boring. It was sloggy. That's what most movies are these days, because every movie's 3 hours long. This is one of the rare times I wanted more out of this. By the time I was really, really sinking my teeth into it and getting invested, the credits were rolling, and I was like, whoa, what? Like, that's it? It feels like the movie is one long first act that's great, and then like 2 minutes of a second act, and then immediately into the finale, and I'm missing the second act of this film. I don't know where it is. I don't know if there ever was one. I don't know if there were budget reasons for why I got cut down, or maybe this was a short film that ended up getting stretched into a feature. I truly don't know, but there was just something odd about how fast this movie flies by, and how I feel like a lot of the development with these characters was rushed to try to squeeze it into an hour and 20-minute runtime. I don't know. I wanted so much more. I wanted more of these characters. I wanted them to go through some other crazy, weird scenarios. I wanted to see more of the bad guys. There's like these two dudes that are a part of kind of like the bad crew, the Coleman Domingo crew, who I'm 90% sure were supposed to be a reference to Sideways or the Paul Giamatti Thomas Hayden Church movie that they made with Alexander Payne. There are literal shots that literally mirror that movie. The way the characters talk. Maybe the main guy was supposed to be played by Paul Giamatti, and that's just why it really hit me. But some of the lines were really like, I was like, that sounds like it was written for Paul Giamatti. And then the guy's bald, of course. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just spitballing here, but that's what that reminded me of. But I loved all of that. I wanted to see more of that dynamic. I wanted to see more of Coleman Domingo. I wanted to see more of some of these other big actors that are just cameos that I'm not going to spoil for you guys in case you don't know they're in the movie, but some of these big actors and big names. I just wanted to get into a lot of the weird shit that they were setting up, and unfortunately, they just don't really do it. It just ends, and it takes a lot away from the experience, because I was not able to get as invested as I wanted to be. But in saying that, I had a fantastic time with this film. It's funny. It's really, really funny at times. The performances are fantastic. I really love the use of music here, the use of colors. It's a very Coen-esque movie. If you're a big fan of the Coen brothers, go check this movie out, because it's the closest thing you're going to get to a dual Coen brothers movie without both of them being involved, just one of them. But it's got the dialogue, the wit, the charm. It's got all of that stuff. It's even got like a little bit of a crime story here, sort of, in a fun way. It's got a great opening scene. It's got a great atmosphere to it. It just runs a little bit shorter than I wanted it to, which sucks, but hey, what can you do? But I will give Drive Away Dolls a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I had a great time with it, and I think you should go check it out for yourselves. So that's the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to like it and subscribe for more. Click the video on your screen right now to see more. I'll see you guys in the next one.